Hi, this is Alex from ninjateacher.com, and if you're thinking of teaching English in South Korea, you've probably Googled it and seen two major options: teaching English at a government school or teaching in Hagwons, which are private academy English centers in South Korea. Now, when you saw those options, you obviously wanted to know more about which one is the better option, and you Googled them, and you saw these horror stories pop up about teaching English at Hagwons. Now, what I want to go into in this video is whether these stories are true, and more importantly, is this something that you should worry about when it actually comes to getting a job in South Korea? So let's try and go about this in a very objective fashion by looking at the facts and the bigger picture and steering away from subjective accounts and fear-mongering and that kind of stuff, by starting off by looking at what a Hagwon really is. And it's basically just a business. It's a language center where students go after their regular school day and study further. So they're privately owned, and there are thousands and thousands of these throughout South Korea, far more than there are public school positions for English teachers. So the first thing I'd like to point out is that there are thousands of these positions, and there are thousands and thousands of teachers working in South Korea in these positions. So that should be your first clue as to whether, it's all bad, and, is this really such a bad thing working at these schools? And then the next thing is, well, how many of these accounts are true? Well, the truth is that, yeah, there are some schools that go ahead and don't give the teacher the best situation possible. There are stories of schools going ahead and working their teachers more hours than was agreed on in the contract, as well as canceling the contract in the 11th month to avoid paying the bonus month's salary at the end of the contract. So that happens. So the truth is, yeah, some of the horror stories are true. Now, how concerned do you have to be about them? Well, this is a different story, because if you look at the ratio of actual times this happens to the actual number of positions that there are, you'll find it's far fewer than you would expect from what you see on the internet. Now, why is that? Well, if someone's in a good position, they're not going to flock to the internet to express how amazing it is. It's the people who are unhappy that go on the internet to complain, right? So that's why you see it a lot. So I think it's far, far fewer right now than people imagine. And from my own experience, this backs it up. So at ninjateacher.com, I'm working with my partners to place hundreds of teachers every year in primarily Hagwon jobs. So most of our positions are in Hagwons, not in public schools, although we do have some. And the thing is, out of these hundreds of teachers, everyone is happy. It's kind of crazy how many people are really happy with their jobs. The hours are fair. You stick to the contract hours. You don't get fired in the 11th month. It just doesn't happen that much. Now, there's a couple of reasons why this is actually moving more and more in this direction. And just as a side note, I want to say that I have no real incentive to say to you, anything other than the truth, because we actually have far more applicants than we have positions. So I'm not telling you this to convince you to apply for private academy jobs, Hagwon jobs over public school jobs. It doesn't really matter to me. And EPIC, the English program, is great, but it can be quite competitive for public schools. So by all means, go ahead and apply for it. So going back to some reasons why you don't have to worry about this so much. Well, a lot of schools now are realizing that there's some serious repercussions if they do this. Essentially, there's reviews online, and by getting negative reviews from teachers, they're basically killing their business. So the internet has made it much easier to kind of see which schools are getting negative reviews, and it's basically going to kill their business. So there's really, really high incentive for them to have a happy staff, have high teacher retention, And this is something we're seeing more and more, like it's moving in that direction. The other thing is that the 11th month firings are really not happening that much anymore because the government is cracking down on this. They know it's a problem, and there's the immigration officers are basically putting practices in place to make it harder for schools to do this, and there are serious repercussions if it does happen. And you can get your money back if that does happen. And then just from the broader perspective, well, a business is not going to be successful if it doesn't have principles and ethics. It's just not a long-term strategy. So if these schools are doing it, they get the negative consequences, and it forces other schools to be aware of this and really have the best situation possible for teachers so that it doesn't come back to bite them, So in my mind, like, this is really not that much of a problem anymore. I think that actually the competitiveness of the job market is more of a problem. So don't worry too much about it. You can apply for public school positions too, but don't completely write off private academy Hagwon positions. All right, so I just wanted to make that very clear so people understand what the situation is like, and we can start moving towards a better understanding of the teaching scene, move away from the bitter expat forums where people are just complaining, and try and get a broad perspective of this, like a view from a height, if that makes sense, so that you're not delving into the dark recesses of the internet and hearing all the negative stuff. Okay, so that's it from me. Hope you find that useful. Make sure to thumbs up this video to support the channel. I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos lately and in the future, so subscribe, and I will talk to you very soon. Peace.